What is up, people? What is up, people? What is up, people? It is your boy MM2K of Geeks, Hard Knock Digital Culture, Cloud Dosage, you name it, I'm there. MM2K Gaming. And we're back with another NRO mic check. And this one is titled, How the PlayStation 5 Pro coverage just took a turn for the worst. And before we go any further, I gotta get this stream started for my Kick people. Can I start it for my Kick people? I think we can. We're gonna check it out on Kick and see if it's if it's bumping for them. Yeah, because we're live here, and if you like us on Kick, we're live on Kick, and yes, we are now officially live on Kick. So go to kick.com/MM2K Gaming to get your gaming news content over there. What is up, everybody? Man, oh man, do we have a special one for you today? Let me find the cap to my, there we go. Man. This is one that I'm having a difficult time juggling because I really didn't want to cover this. I really didn't want to talk about this because I felt like that I think some of the notions and stuff that are coming away from this are a little bit too premature. And Cold Blood and I, particularly when it comes to this topic, we just felt like it was best to just see how things play out and wait for an official statement or word from Sony. But you mofos, y'all can't wait, man. You guys cannot wait. And you got to talk about this thing now. And what is this thing that I'm talking about? It's that goddamn PlayStation 5 Pro. You mofos can't help yourself. You got to talk about this shit now. It's like J.G. Wentworth 8765, whatever the now. I got to talk about this shit right now. And you have to excuse me because I just spilled coffee all over my desk. I'm cleaning it up now. Yeah, you J.G. Wentworth mugs. I need cash now. You guys are jumping all over the place, knocking coffee over other people's desks and shit. Talk about this damn thing. I just don't know if we have enough in our hands to even really talk about this thoroughly. But when I say we, I'm not talking about us. We have a very clear message today. When I say we, I'm talking about the greater gaming community. But we'll figure all that out shortly. All right. With that said, I want to welcome you to the show. Cold Blood is going to be joining us too. I'm just going to get over some of this preliminary stuff. And we might do something different. Where I might actually bring people in. If you guys hurry up and you know, get your asses in the Discord, I might bring people in to get your thoughts on what it is that we have to say. But before we get into all that, let's pay our bills. Here we go. Bill number one. Don't forget, we have the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth launch giveaway. We're giving away $70 USD PlayStation Network points. All you have to do is follow the instructions on our giveaway tweet. Let me put it here. Don't miss out on our $70 giveaway. Games are expensive now. They ain't giving you all the bells and whistles for every $70 they want y'all to pay. I better take advantage of this shit. But check that out. You want to play the game? I mean, if you want to participate in the giveaway, and come and get your $30 or $70. God damn, where I get $30 from? $70 PSN. Let me do this. We got to get the social set up. Because I see comments down there. I ain't got my stuff together. All right, so we got to add our social cues. Yesterday was a very interesting day. We talked about Helldivers a little bit. You guys got to laugh at me at my like road rage. I had some very unsavory dialogue during that. I really don't want to bring that to this channel because YouTube is so funny, and when you get too unfiltered, man, yeah, they make you pay for it. So after this stream, until Cold Blood starts streaming, because I don't know if he's going to take a break, you know, before he does or whatever. We'll leave that up to him. I'm going to play some Helldivers over on Twitch. That's what we're going to do. Cold Blood in the house. He says, hit that like button. Yes, listen to my brother Cold Blood. Hit that goddamn like button. We got Twisted Sin in the house. He says, I haven't been following anything on the coverage. I'm too busy with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Too much to do in the game, and Rise of the Ronin comes out in 2 days. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, we definitely, Cold Blood and I are eyeballing Rise of the Ronin. We're going to see, you know, what goes on with that before we pull the trigger on that. Also, don't forget, y'all, that these podcasts that you're hearing here, they make their way to our new audio platforms on Spotify and iTunes, right? So if you like want to get some MM2K gaming stuff on the go, you see, check us out. Check us out on your favorite audio platforms, including Spotify. Matter of fact, I need to put that. I need to put that in a. No, I'm not going to pin that message. Let me check something real quick, y'all. While everybody's still pouring in, I need to put that in the Nightbot. Definitely. That's right. I had to reset everything. Flippity flop, flip, flippity flop, flop, flop. So now I got to log in everything. Yeah, me and my wife yesterday was a very interesting day. I only did a little bit of coverage because my wife and I had an exterminator come in. We're in the woods. I don't know why I'm so fond of the woods. Like our last house was in the woods, and we bought this one, and it's in the woods, and we got this dead ass oak tree, right? That we really need to get rid of. We need to get chopped down. Join Geeks. Okay, I got to join Geeks one, but now we need a audio links. So what we did is when we first bought the house, we didn't get the tree cut down as recommended, right? People were like, you should get that tree cut down, and we didn't do it. And it was the worst decision that we've ever made, because the tree, it still sprouts leaves, and the leaves like drop shit all over our hood. Our car has been severely damaged. So we got to get, so I had to get a car cover, but by that time it was too late. So, I got to get, well, I won't say severely damaged, but it's not, our car was pristine. So, got to get some body work done because, it's been pelting our hood with some shit, and that's not cool. So we've had that, and we've just had, and then these termites, right? So because of these damn termites, we got them treated when we first got in the house, but then the freaking things came back. And you're supposed to have a warranty, which we did, but we didn't pay attention to the warranty. The warranty covers you for so many years, and you're supposed to just, if there's any sign of them, you'll have the person come in, check out the wood integrity, and then they come back free of charge. And we didn't do that. So we had to go pay another $900 to get like special treatment done. They pour this chemical in, they dig a hole in your cement to make sure it seeps through. And then they, dig a trench around your house, and then they drop the chemical in there, and then they spray any wood that looks like it's already been fested upon. And I didn't realize, because when we first had it done, we weren't in the house, right? We were like you know, we hadn't purchased a home yet. It was just something that we noticed. Our appraiser looked at and was like, yeah, you guys are going to want to get this shit done. And when we did it the first time, of course, we were like gone from the house for a few days, and I didn't realize how strong the smell was. Well, now that we're here, we got it done. The guy was like, yeah, just come back an hour and a half. Like, fucking no. That chemical took over the whole fucking house. We literally lifted all the windows like all night. And, you know, we're in a good neighborhood, but what the fuck does that mean? You know, so we had all of our windows, and we even had our basement door open. So I literally had to drop my wife off somewhere, and I had to sit in front of my house for like several hours just watching it because that shit had to air out, man. That was just one of the most brutal things I've ever had to deal with as far as, you know, getting something treated. But we finally got through it. We got her done. Termites are dead right now. They're definitely dead. And then we got to get this tree cut down. We got to get it cut down during the winter season, because if you get it done during the winter season, you get a serious discount. You know what I mean? So, all right, there you have it. My woes in getting my termites dealt with. That sucked. All right. That being said, we are now on Spotify. We are now on Apple Music and iTunes, whatever you want to call it. Check us out. There's a link in the chat. I also set up Nightbot to remind you guys as well. So if you want to check out MM2K Gaming via the audio platforms, you can do that. Here's another cool thing too. We now have members content available there. So if like the way that you want to listen to us, if you prefer to listen to us this way, become part of our sponsors club. And if you become a sponsor club member, all of our member stuff will be available to you there. So definitely check that out if you prefer to listen to us via Spotify and those platforms. Members content is coming to YouTube. Don't worry. There's just a couple of kinks we got to work out. Once we work out those kinks, they'll be here too. But your members content is available on Spreaker audio stuff. You know, it's going to be the same members content. Just be advised, you know, this is only access to the audio stuff that's up, like either on Spotify or, you know what I mean? All right. With that being said, let's get into today's topics. We want to go back here. So we're having this discussion throughout the community about the PlayStation 5 Pro. I was hesitant to have this conversation because there has been no official announcement made by Sony. And I was a victim of this type of hype when it came to the Xbox One X. I've already been here. I've already learned. A lot of you guys are new, so a lot of you guys are getting all creamy knuckled and stuff over this shit. And I'm here to warn you. Like, I'm not capping for anybody. No brand owns me. I have preferences. Please don't mistake that as in I can be sold or bought and shit. Like, I know I dog Xbox out a lot. That's because they had a pedigree that really shook up the AAA gaming scene. I mean, just changed my perspective. I mean, like, alt me in gaming. They went from my favorite way to game probably of all times with the 360 to like one that I just roll my eyes at when I look at the missed opportunities and the lack thereof. With that being said, that doesn't mean that PlayStation gets a pass. Or it doesn't mean that something that applied with Xbox doesn't apply with PlayStation. That's baloney and that's bogus. Here's the thing. I've been here with the Xbox One X. I got swept up in that hype. Because I got swept up in that hype, I went from just enjoying whatever the rigors of the next generation offered. I went from just simply enjoying that to worrying about pixels. It was so much fervor and excitement. I mean, and I was a PC gamer to a certain extent, so I understood getting 60 frames per second, getting better visuals and shit like that. I understood how that could enhance the ambiance of your gameplay. And the way that the Xbox One X was being tooted, it was like you were going to get super enhanced gameplay that, you know, mirrored what you would get from like a mid-spec PC. And I was all for it. And I got caught up in that fervor. Why? Because I wasn't the biggest technical guy when it comes to what's behind the hood of a game. I wasn't. The development and all that shit, I didn't know that. I knew nothing about a freaking CUDA core, the compute units and the bibblewatts. I didn't know nothing about any of that shit. But then I was listening to podcasts and certain content creators that talked about this and they spoke on it so elegantly, and then I fucking turned to Digital Foundry and they're kicking the same bibble babble, and I'm like, holy shit, this is something that I seriously need to get indulged in. And in preparation for the Xbox Series X, I got so caught up in this whimsical technical babble sandstorm that I went and bought 2 TVs just for this thing. The first TV I bought was because they were like, yeah, you gotta play games in HDR, right? So I went and got a TV that had this mystery HDR in it, right? But then, come to find out, oh no, it's not HDR10. You got to get HDR10. Ah! So then, like a couple of months later, I go buy another TV. I spent like what, fucking $4,000 on no, maybe $3,000 on 2 TVs. My wife was furious because this was at the time we started saving to get the house, because my wife, she don't like having no long ass credit bill. She likes putting a lot of money down. You know what I'm saying? So we only have a little bit of heartache as far as paying a car note or a mortgage or something like that, and then the rest of it, she's very good and thorough at that. That's why she controls the finances. And I just listen to whatever the hell she says. So she's like, what is this shit? I remember being out with my mother-in-law and my wife, and being at Best Buy, and one of the clerks gave me the wrong price on the TV when I got the HDR10 one. He gave it to, he misheard what the guy said when he told him, because it was a Reebox unit. He misheard what the guy told me. It was an open box unit, meaning someone bought it, they didn't want it or whatever, or it was the wrong thing. They checked it out, all the pieces was there. It's just, and I said, I'm gonna get that one, right? 4K TV. And at the time, 2017, those things weren't cheap. Was it like 50 inch or something like that? I can't remember. So I went and bought it. And the guy had quoted me wrong. It was supposed to be, I can't remember but he shaved off accidentally like maybe $300. And so before he could realize his mistake, when I bought it, I took that motherfucker, I threw it in the back of the truck and left the truck open. And I'll never forget, my mother-in-law was sitting in the front with my wife, and I hopped into the shit like I just got escaped Alcatraz. And I'm telling my wife, drive. And my grandmother's looking at me, and she's like, not my grandmother, my mother-in-law is looking at me, and she's like, seriously? And I'm like, yeah, I got a little bit of a problem. You know what I mean? when it comes to buying tech. So and that's when the purse strings was officially closed on me. And then come to find out, I go to the midnight launch of the Scorpio, I get it, I hook it up, and then the other TV that I've got that was an HDR10, my crazy ass, I hooked that one up in the bathroom. When my daughter finally moved out and got her own apartment, I gave it to her. But yeah, I hooked that mofo up in the bathroom for a while. We had an HDR, not HDR10, but TV sitting in the bathroom. Anyway, yeah, I went and got my Project Scorpio, hooked it up, was playing it, was like, oh, I remember the first game I played was one of the Call of Duties that was supported at launch. I can't remember which one it was, and I remember just sitting there thinking like, oh man, okay, this looks okay, but of course it looks sharper. You know what I mean? My mind isn't blown, but oh, I can't wait till my mind is blown. I can't wait till I get this full experience that I'm supposed to be getting. Gears of War didn't look bad. Gears of War looked pretty damn good. It did. Looked pretty damn good in comparison to what it used to look like. But these were not graphical bumps because you were still dealing with the same Jaguar cores or whatever you call them. You still had the same, I believe, GPU. Yeah, you had the same GPU. They got rid of the SRAM, but when they developed, they still had to develop for the SRAM, meaning you weren't allowed to make a game that took advantage of just the specs within the Xbox One X. If you were allowed to do that, like you couldn't make an Xbox One. I mean, you couldn't make an Xbox One X version of a game and make an Xbox One version of the game. What do I mean by that? You couldn't make a game that totally utilized. You couldn't make a different SKU, is what I'm saying. Because the purpose of the Xbox One X was to just be an enhancement, meaning that you buy a game and that same game, that same disc or that same SKU is playable on either console, whether it's the Xbox One, the S, or the X. And what you do is you get a patch that takes advantage of elements of the Xbox One X. So you were getting an up-res. You were getting some better frames. But you were not getting this complete visual overhaul as they made it seem to be. You also weren't getting the true 4K that they were talking about. There was like only one game, maybe two, that gave you that true 4K. It was Forza. And I think Red Dead Redemption, they got up to native 4K. But it wasn't the graphical, it wasn't the visual overhaul that they made it seem out to be. And to really throw salt in the wound, just a few months later when God of War 2018 released, and you played it on the PlayStation 4 Slim, God of War 2018 on the PlayStation 4 Slim visually looked better than anything on the Xbox One X at the time. That's what really like threw me in a loop, and really should have thrown the community in a loop, because prior to that we were unadulterated with teraflops and compute units and Jaguar cores, and they're going to use Vega, and okay, they don't use Vega, but they got rid of the SRAM, and right. And I get that you had to be there, but I'm regurgitating this stuff for you guys so you don't forget. Why am I still on this page? Oh no, I'm not. Yeah, I'm regurgitating this stuff for you guys so you don't miss out and you don't get caught up in the loop. Okay. So here's the thing to consider. That even though people are excited about this, and I'm excited about it too, like I'm gonna get it day one, likely, I'm going to get it. I'll put it like this. I'm going to get it. Now, whether I get it day one will depend upon how much of a leap it is. I mean, I play my PlayStation games. I particularly play them a lot in 2024. So having a platform that plays them better, I'm all for it. You know what I'm saying? I'll just trade in my other one and trade in my OG, my day one PlayStation 4, and I'll get this new Pro when the time is right. But it all depends upon what its performance is. And that's the crux of this conversation. We don't know what the performance is. And you got people giving you definitives on both sides, and they are not right. Okay. So to explain what I'm talking about, let's do this. Let's go into the game. Let's go into the article that kind of sparked all this, and let's move from there. All right. Let me just make sure. Okay. I want to check and see. All right. Exclusive, more PlayStation 5 Pro spec details. Following this week's leaks on the PlayStation 5 Pro GPU specs and performance targets, Insider Gaming has learned PlayStation 5 Pro specs, for comparison's sake, will also include specifications on the standard PlayStation 5 Pro. So it's, it's going to have 576 gigabyte per second the system memory is, compared to the PlayStation 5's 448. The CPU is identical to the PlayStation 5. However, the Pro has a high CPU frequency mode, which takes the CPU to 3.85 gigahertz, a 10% increase over the standard console. More power is allocated to the CPU and will downclock the GPU by 1.5, resulting in roughly 1% lower GPU performance. And I guess that's for games that, that are CPU heavy, I guess. We'll talk about that in a bit. The audio has more FFT and IFFT can be processed. The GPU is rendering 45% faster than the PlayStation 5, 2 to 3 times ray tracing, 4 times in some cases, 33.5 teraflops. PlayStation PlayStation Spectral Super Resolution upscaling anti-aliasing solution. Support for resolution up to 8K is planned for the SDK version. Custom machine learning architecture, AI accelerator supporting 300 tops of 8-bit computation. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. So people heard this and they started getting creamy knuckled. And that leads to the first no-no, which was the rampant enthusiasm that we saw. We started hearing things like this will be the perfect console for GTA 6. Now, there is a flip side to what I'm about to say, but I want to say the things that came from a particular source that said, look, you know what? If GTA 6 or any game is CPU heavy, and therefore it must target 30 on the base consoles, don't expect it to reach 60 on the PlayStation 5 Pro. That could be true. So it's not a guarantee that GTA 6 or every game is going to be, now bumped to 60 frames per second because of this PSSR. If a game is CPU heavy, that could be the bottleneck that'll hold it back from being 60. All right. There have been instances in the past where even the more powerful, or the more like getting engaged in T-flops and saying, oh, this thing has a high T-flop count, so that means it's going to destroy everything. That's a fool's errand. The PlayStation 4 had higher T-flops than the Xbox One platform. However, there were still games on the Xbox One that gave you better frames than the PlayStation 4 counterpart. Why? Because there were certain instances to where the PlayStation 4, lower power and RAM, power and less powerful CPU may have given you like a flat 30 frames per second, where with the Xbox you could get 35, maybe close to 40. There was games like Assassin's Creed and stuff like that exhibited that. In games that have a heavy CPU parts, or they're just heavy in CPU period, you could run into issues. So just because you have a more powerful GPU like the PlayStation 4 did doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get better frame performance. It all depends on how the game is built. Okay. So that is something to keep in mind. Also, we're hearing people say, well, this is going to be better than your PC. Yeah, I think you can make the argument that even these current consoles give the average PC a run for its money. And before people go ape shit and say MM2K you're capping, before the PC Master Race does that, let me show you something. Hold on one second. Steam hardware survey. There we go. Okay. So here's the hardware survey from Steam. Let's put this up there on the board. Okay. Let's see here. February 2024. Click more info. All right. So here is the Steam the Steam configuration, hardware survey configuration. The most popular video card is a RTX 3060. And the primary display resolution that the 3060 is used on is 1920 by 1080. I can tell you, as someone that has a 3070, that what these consoles can do right now, once they've been optimized and all the other stuff, is very impressive and can give the average PC a run for its money. Well, no, you know what? No, I don't think that's fair by me saying the average PC. This is just most popular. The most popular is the 3060. But when you look at the majority of PCs configurations as far as cards are concerned, when you look at the totality, when you look at the whole 100, because 3060, they make up 6%, but let's look at the next one. It's the 1650, the 2060, the 1060. All right, then there's my 3070. Then there's a 360 Ti, 3060. Then there's a 3050. Okay, 4060 comes up there. But when you look at the overwhelming majority of these cards are like, they're not touching a PlayStation 5 or even an Xbox Series X. So I would argue that the majority of the PCs that are out there, what are we saying? What is the graphics card that they're saying that the PlayStation and the Xbox cards are comparable to? What are they saying? 2070s or something like that? Or is it higher than, I would assume it's higher than a 2070 or 2080, right? When you look at this survey, like, these are riddled with cards. The top 30 are riddled with cards that pale in comparison. I can tell you right now with my 3070, okay, I can get native 1440p 60. Now, I can get on games that are coming out now with my 3070, I can get native 1440p 50 at like medium settings. Right? If I want a definitive 60 frames per second, I gotta, at like high settings, I gotta bump down to 1080, right? So I imagine the 3060 probably is more in line. Cold Blood, let me know if I'm wrong in the chat. A 3060 is probably more in line with what these consoles are doing. So it's fair to say like a 3070 on up beats what these consoles are doing. You're not seeing a lot of that here in these most used configurations. So yeah, I mean, one could argue percentage wise, like, yeah, the PlayStation 5 Pro, based upon the numbers that we're seeing, it may be worth it for those that may have some of these lower end cards that want to play some of these newer games at a better performance. Because spending, let's just say if it's $600, if you have like a 1080 or even a 20 series card, I don't know if adding $600 to your PC is going to get you what the Pro can deliver. But for those of you that are out there that are like, you know, oh, this is going to give the 4080 a run for its money, anything that's not able to handle CPU bottleneck games and still provide you 60, you're going a little bit too far now. All right. He says, what is Cold Blood says? He says it's about the same as a $350 GPU. So when you look at the survey, you look at the games and you say, I mean, you look at the components and you say, okay, for the majority of them out there, because a lot of PC master race people talk like everybody has a 4080. They don't. As we just saw right there when it comes to Steam, that most people don't have cards that can play these games as good as the current consoles and arguably the PlayStation 5 Pro. But to sit there and say it's going to give a high-end PC a run for its money, you got to watch that. You got to, no, not watch it. You got to stop it. Okay. So that's some of the exuberant enthusiasm that I'm seeing out there that's like over the top. But now I want to talk about the tech analysis, right? This is what really grinds my gears. Everybody's listening to Digital Foundry because Digital Foundry is the one that came out and started cautioning about, hey, look, you guys need to pay attention that these games that are CPU bottleneck heavy are not going to necessarily run at 60 frames per second if they are, you know, only set for 30 frames per second on the base console. As that may be true, how does Digital Foundry know what games are coming out at 30? Like, how do they know? Granted, more and more games by like one or two, like we're seeing Dragon's Dogma lock itself at 30, right? And we've seen Gotham Knights do the same. But when you look at the game, like Digital Foundry since 2022 has been on this campaign of like, you're going to get unadulterated with 30 frames per second games. So get used to it. You know, start biting your nails. It's happening. And I think in PlayStation's entire library of over 3,000 games so far, only 4 of them are locked at 30? We are misunderstanding the appropriate use of Digital Foundry. We truly are. Before I go into that use of Digital Foundry, let me go into the chat because I see the chat bumping. But we truly are misunderstanding the appropriate use of Digital Foundry. He said, where's Cold Blood Sensei? Says Paul Gaming, he says he evicted me out of the podcast because I told him the fact that he didn't like that. He said that he was the one of the bots that overhyped the 1X power. Honestly, I didn't understand the 1X power. I just assumed it was going to be powerful, because that's what everybody else assumed. Even the ponies assumed it was going to be powerful. The ponies' argument was, who cares? That was the ponies' argument. Who cares? Like, they understood that the power narrative was just a farce that they created to kick Microsoft fans in the teeth. And I remember Porter-Rock, exactly who I had this bet with. I still haven't paid him for the bet. Shh. Porter-Rock had bet me and said, I bet you. I was like, the Xbox One X is going to win NPD for the Xbox. Because, you know, tech users want the latest and greatest. And what Porter-Rock said, which educated me, he was like, bro, we are halfway through the generation and Microsoft has been getting its teeth kicked in. People have already built their library on the PlayStation. Now PlayStation is coming out with bangers. Why would they abandon their PlayStation library where their friends have already gone to go to the Xbox One X? And I'm like, it's like phones. People want the most powerful phones. So he was like, gaming is different. And I didn't want to listen because I was all caught up in this hype. Digital Foundry said it as well. I'm gonna get to what they said. Digital Foundry was hyping this up as well. He was like, it doesn't matter. People have already built their library. The casuals have moved here. This is where they're playing Call of Duty. Nobody's going to make the upgrade. That's a casual, right? And I said, you'll see. I said, watch. Now, don't get me wrong. There was a lot of excitement for the Xbox One X. The Xbox One X potentially had the consoles in a place to where Xbox was about to win NPD for November, December. I think it was December. But PlayStation played foil and heavily slashed the price of the PlayStation 4 Slim, and the rest was history. And they did it for an extra week just so they could win NPD. And they won it. And that was the perfect storm, because right after that, here comes God of War. Right? Yeah. I'm here to tell you, yeah. So ponies themselves thought it was going to be more powerful, like handily. They just said it doesn't matter. Come to find out, you fast forward, and it wasn't even, I mean, it was more powerful, you know, but it wasn't like the gap that everybody was trying to make it seem. It wasn't as bad as PlayStation versus Xbox Series X. It wasn't that bad where they were splitting hairs. The Xbox One X was winning, but it was like, who cares? It's like, to the naked eye, it's not that granular, right? But here's the problem. Well, no, before I get to Digital Foundry, let me check some more chats. Because when I break down Digital Foundry, you'll see that we need to just put them on the back burner when it comes to these discussions right now. He said he was part of the problem, but talks like he got duped. No, I got duped. Look, bro, I did not understand the compute units and the Vibawatts. I was excited. I thought the Xbox One X was going to encourage people to come more and more to the platform. When that daggone God of War came out, that killed it. When God of War came out and looked better than anything on the Xbox One X, all hopes were dismantled. They were all dismantled. And it didn't seem like the power was worth it from the box until Red Dead Redemption 2 came out. But by that time, it was too late. The damage was done. Let's see here. You said you could build something close to the PlayStation 5 price, but it's going to be severely bad for anything beyond 1440p gaming. He says the part that is blowing me is that Steam Deck YouTubers are the ones talking that PC is the PlayStation 6 right now. Your fan base could barely afford the $400 Steam Deck. Yeah, trying to bolster the Steam Deck. I get the ASRock to a certain degree, but trying to bolster the Steam Deck versus the PS6 or the PlayStation 5 Pro, that's kind of silly. He said, God damn it, he'll be stealing my talking points. I will sue for copyright. Lies. He was capping for the best way to play multiplats all day, every day. Yeah. No. I did say that, but everybody said that. Everybody, Cold Blood, everybody believed it was going to be the best way to play multiplats. Like Digital Foundry said it too. We all believed it was the best way to play multiplats because it was going to be powerful. And honestly, yeah, okay, it was the best way to, and really that's not even a lie. It was the best way to play multiplats. The Xbox One X games performed better on Xbox One X than they did anywhere else as far as consoles were concerned. The problem was, who cares? Who cares? Number one, because the power that was actually presented wasn't as granular as they made it sound. And for two, they didn't back it up with anything. Like they launched with Phantom Dust and Super Lucky's Tales. How do you launch the world's most powerful console with a remake and Super Lucky's Tale. Y'all remember that? Super Lucky's Tale? That was insanity. Purebred insanity. They clearly didn't know what they were doing. So yeah, we all thought it was going to be powerful. Juice in the house. He said, bro used to be one of the T-flop warriors. Yeah, when it came to the technical babble, I stayed away from it. I just didn't understand it. And I wasn't trying to be Lee Latch. I wasn't AKA D Batch. I wasn't trying to be him. But you know, I was like, my argument was that because it was going to be more powerful, that was going to draw people over. And that definitely was wrong. That clearly is wrong. Like I said, I still got an outstanding bill to Porter Rock. I still ain't paying this punk ass. Shout out to P-Rock. I still ain't paying him yet. That's for that shit. That outstanding bill's like 7 years old, 7 years old. I still owe my bro $50. Hit that super chat so I can give Porter Rock so I can give P-Rock his $50. God damn. He said, man, it's going to get worse. I said, did you crazy? It's going to get worse. And I was like, P, I can understand you say this, the PlayStation's going to edge him out, but it's going to get worse. And he was 1,000% right. It was going to get, it got worse. So yeah. Is it, yeah, Xbox, Pony said it didn't matter because Xbox has no games and people will go where the games or power is irrelevant to 99%. Yeah, that's what we were saying. We were saying, well, that's what I'm saying now. It's like it didn't even matter because number one, I would say power would have mattered if it was significant. It wasn't significant enough because developers are going to do what developers do. So what's the point of all this? Well, Digital Foundry tried to come out here and told you to check your expectations. Let me tell you something about Digital Foundry. I created a video. Matter of fact, I want y'all to see this video. Shout out to Sean with the $5. Oh my brother. Oh shit. I gotta pay off P-Rock fund. Matter of fact, you know what? We're gonna do that. Like I'm gonna reach out to Porter Rock. See if I can get him on the show because we're contemplating some guests. I'm gonna see if I can get P-Rock on the show, and I'm gonna PayPal him live on air. I'm gonna PayPal him his $50. Watch you go. Thank you, Moss. Thank you. Yeah. I'm gonna see if I can get P-Rock on the show. Shout out to P. I was rapping to him not too long ago. That's when he gave me that slide. That's my P is my homie. That's my bro. That infamous slide of his where he's, you know, where people be crying like, oh, PlayStation needs 8 first-party games a year, and he's like, nah, they've never operated like that. Shout out to Sean with the $5. He said I got 5 on it, and he dashed. He says, honestly, bro, they didn't have to release games for the Series S. They may have had a slight chance. It's the same thing that happened with the Xbox One X, Juice. If you remember, the Xbox One S, part of the bottleneck problem, see, okay, the Xbox actually had lower GPU power, but it had higher CPU power. And as we saw with certain games, if people would have designed more aggressively on the elements towards the CPU side, they actually would have had better performance than what they could have gotten from the PlayStation 4. But that would have taken more effort to do, where the PlayStation 4 was like, look, I can get good enough performance leaning towards the GPU. And two, why would I go and do extra work even though I can get a better result? Why would I go and do extra work for a console that's selling less? That doesn't make any sense. So, and the problem that was at the root of the Xbox One development was the ESRAM. The ESRAM was considered more efficient and more versatile, but there wasn't a lot in it because it was so damn expensive. So there wasn't a lot of ESRAM in there. Well, when the Xbox One X came out, they got rid of the ESRAM. But the problem is that when you developed, you still had to develop your game for Xbox with the ESRAM in mind. The low amount of ESRAM that was in the older units, you had to develop with those in mind. So all you got, the reason why the Xbox One X power was only nominal was because you couldn't take full advantage of the box. And what did these motherfuckers do this gen? They do the exact same stupid fucking thing. They create a lower end box that has RAM that is a bottleneck to development, and it affects what you can do with the more expensive. It renders it useless because all you're doing is getting these nominal upgrades, and that's why they're splitting hairs with the PlayStation 5, where if the Xbox Series X was the only console that they had versus the PlayStation 5, hands down, multi-plat games will look better there. It is what it is. They will look better there. It's like they said, ow, I shot myself in the foot. Where's the other one? It's time to get the other foot. You saw what happened. You put all that money and investment in the Xbox One X, and it ended up being the least selling console the entire generation. It was bottlenecked from the ESRAM component that you forced upon developers because they couldn't make an Xbox One X SKU. It had to be one universal SKU. So therefore, the only thing they could do was just up-res some shit. Give some shit some better frames where they could, but they really couldn't take advantage of the box. Instead of you saying, we're not going to go through, oh man, shit. Woo. Oh man. And you could look at Phil and not blame him for that. The whole Xbox One design, that was a Donnie D thing, right? That was a Donnie D thing. So you can look at Phil when it comes to the Xbox One X and say, yeah, you can't develop a different SKU because that's going to make things too messy for our consumers. What we want you to do instead is, look, man, you just can't fully tap the box. I understand that, but this motherfucker went into this generation, bro. He went into this generation knowing exactly what happened last gen. It did the exact same thing. Bottleneck the more powerful box for the lesser powerful box. Now, I don't want to get too much in the field because we're talking about the PlayStation 5, but it's all relative. And y'all get mad at me because I talk about the dude. No, that shit was crazy. When it comes to technology and power and that type of stuff that matters to AAA gamers, he let them down. Now, for these nuanced gamers that just want volume and more, and they want to be cultured and play fizzle, chisel, popper, then jump to Halo, then play, my granddad left his toenail, and then go play Gears. Okay, fine. He's cool for you. But for that traditional Xbox gamer that was tantalized by Seamus Blackley and Peter Moore and all them, he's completely eradicated that element of Xbox and to turn it into something else. That's why he gets criticized. That's why he gets criticized here. And he wasn't upfront about it. Like Nintendo had to do the same thing when they abandoned being in the AAA market with the GameCube and they went to the Wii. But they were upfront about it. That's why he gets obliterated here. But with that said, I want to talk about how Digital Foundry misled gamers during the Xbox One X fiasco. At this stage of the game, they got everybody so excited. It was like, oh, this is going to be that new Vega chip. But it ended up being the same old Jaguar, right? Then they did correct themselves later after the documents came out, but still people were excited thinking they were going to get this true 4K thing. Then they assumed that devs they say, okay, it's not the Vega chip, but it would actually take effort from the devs that they're going to be willing to do to push 4K 60, like an upscaled 4K 60. So they gave up on the whole Vega thing and they said, no, you're not going to get native 4K, but you will get this upscaled 4K. And they did so by telling people, look, here's an example of Battlefield, I think it was, running on a comparable PC. You know, at an upscaled 1080p to 4K, you can still get 60 frames per second. The developers, you know, they're going to want to do that. So they're, you know, which we know they're not going to want to do. Shout out to Geek to Sneak. He says, everyone knows Nintendo is king, Mr. Fortune 500. King of what? I don't know what they're king of. I mean, don't get me wrong. The Nintendo Switch is a monster. It's a beast. They're king in Japan. But for the last 2 years, Geek, PlayStation's been handing their ass to them in a pretzel bun. Hold the tartar sauce. I don't know what you mean. Yes, does Nintendo's first party game sell? Yes, that's the lure of the platform. Their first parties are you know, they do crazy numbers. With that said, they're not winning in sales overall, particularly over the last couple of years. They're not earning more money, right? And the only sector to where they have a huge gap is in Japan, because Japanese gamers don't really mess with these bigger consoles now. They like the more mobile stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're not big on the AAA stuff that we're big on. So no, Switch is a very, very, very formidable competitor when it comes to just the gaming space, period. But I don't know if we can call them king. You know what I mean? Yeah, we'll see what happens with the Switch 2. Now, when the Switch 2 comes out, they can probably regain that king status. But the crown the last 2 years belongs to PlayStation, man. Undoubtedly, PlayStation. And PlayStation was able to do something, as crazy as this sounds, PlayStation was able to do something that nobody has done for years. And there was one particular month where the PlayStation 5 outsold the Switch. That hasn't happened in years. Like, nobody in Japan, I meant. Like, nobody's come close in Japan in years. And it was 1 month that PlayStation was able to do that. Just shows you how quick. And I think that's why PlayStation got crazy, as me and Cold Blood was talking about, where they thought they was going to sell 25 million. I think that, you know, they thought their shit didn't stink, and they got brought back to earth real quick. But yeah, you know, I'm looking at the numbers, man. The last couple of years, freaking PlayStation's been the king, bro. They've been killing it. First party? Who has the best performing first party? Hands down, it's Nintendo, because that's the draw to their platform, is their first party. They kill it with their first party. Like, even the games that people say are trash over there, they just get bought up. They have clever marketing. They just have the saturation and the consumer habits that they've fostered over there are just, you know, wow. They're sick. But yeah, that the king the last couple of years, and it could change. Like I said, the king the last couple of years has been PlayStation. Another thing that Digital Foundry did that they fell way off. Again, they assumed that devs, at first they were talking about, oh, the Vega chip. We think it's going to be the Vega chip. They're the ones that kicked that into high gear. And then you had fucking D-Batch with that shit. It's going to be Vega Man. It's going to be Vega Man. What the hell are you talking about? Don't be so stupid. It's going to be Vega Man. Shout out to D-Batch. It's going to be Vega. Don't be so dumb. Yeah, don't be so dumb. Yeah. Then Digital Foundry assumed that devs would do the extra work that they weren't willing to do with the SRAM and take advantage of the Xbox One X and push an upscaled 4K 60. Then after that, they overhyped FreeSync and HDMI 2.1 VRRR, the role that it would play being implemented in the Xbox One X. I mean, Richard Ledbetter, he literally went into cardiac arrest. He was so damn excited about this. He did say that we wouldn't see the effects immediately, but this was going to be a game changer. No, it wasn't. Everybody else was going to do it anyway. It's just that the consoles didn't have the power to really take advantage of it in a notable way. So why make the investment in it? It was a silly proposal, and it was proven because the Xbox One X, even though it did have that implementation ready, the PlayStation 4 Pro still outsold it. It didn't matter. Then check this out. Digital Foundry said, look, PlayStation better sell this Pro in a considerable time away from the Xbox One X. Because listen to this, because if they're months away from each other, gamers would wait and not buy the Pro, and they would go buy the Xbox One X. Whoa! Okay. Sony is starting to drop bangers in 2017. Now, again, for full disclosure, they're not bangers to me, but the gaming community or gaming doesn't live and survive solely off of MM2K. The general populace is playing Horizon Forbidden West, they're playing Neo, they're playing Uncharted 4, and they're loving this shit, right? And now they get an opportunity to play it in a way to where it gets up-resed, it looks better, looks even sharper. Xbox comes out and there's no software included whatsoever that really makes the box sing. Don't get me wrong. They have older shit that you can play and it looks better. But nobody buys gaming hardware like consoles. Nobody buys consoles at mass because of old games. Backwards compatibility or, up-resing or whatever with the new console is a byproduct of how fast you may adopt over to a new console. But nobody buys new consoles based off of old games. That's a farce. Digital Foundry actually said that the Xbox One X would be more appealing to the average gamer than the PlayStation 5 Pro. And they didn't even talk about games. Now, granted, people may say, well, Moss, they're a tech analysis team. Why would they talk about games? And that's my point. When you're talking about the success and saturation potentiality of something, games are part of that equation. And what Digital Foundry does is they step outside of their realm of expertise, their scope, and they try to play kingmaker where they're not qualified to do so. They are qualified solely and surely in telling you, look, this has this type of measurements. These are the technical measurements of XYZ. And here's what XYZ is capable of. That's it. From an analysis level, from a judgment level, they can tell you what something is actually doing and give you hard numbers next to that. That's it. And telling you definitively who's going to be doing what as far as gaming is concerned, they have no way of knowing. So when Digital Foundry is out here telling you, well, don't expect 30 frames per second for G, how do they know? Like, I get the theory of not assuming that all games are going to be 60 frames per second, but how do you know? Is there information that came out with GTA about how it's going to run, how it's being, developed? Secondly, you mofos just a couple of years ago told us there was going to be an onslaught of 30 frames per second games that are going to hit these consoles. PlayStation 5 only has 4 for the entire generation. They only have 4. Thirdly, we heard Jim Ryan talking about some type of partnership that they have for the release of the next GTA. Could it be marketing rights with the Pro and some serious tweaking performance with the Pro to where they are able to provide a 60 frames per second mode? We don't know. And neither do you, Digital Foundry. You don't know. You don't know what's going on. You don't know what this thing is totally capable of. We've never seen this PSSR. I get the theories of, look, if something is CPU heavy, the scaling that's more on the graphics card side of the APU isn't going to do much. I can understand that. We don't know what this thing can do. And I'm going to tell you this much. As much as I like Richard Ledbetter and as smart as he is, I trust Mark Cerny more. Now, Mark Cerny didn't come out and say that this thing, they haven't even acknowledged this thing yet. They just seen the white documents or the development documents of this thing. They've gotten a copy of those too from their sources. Here's what I will say. When Mark Cerny comes out there with his weird ass, with his Stranger Things looking ass, and he comes out there to the podium, the fake podium, with the thumbnail backdrop, yeah, this thing is going to compute at 55 nanometers. Yeah, I did rapid pack math. Now it's called rapid pack math. Rapid pack math. Yeah, we were able to take even CPU heavy components and make. When he comes out there and says that, I'm going with him. I'm not going with you, Richard, because you're not in development. You understand how this stuff works and what the potentiality of it is. But you sold us the potentiality as definitive stuff when it came to the Xbox One X. Had me going out there buying 2 TVs. Me beating the clerk over the head with a cash register and playing Dukes of Hazzard, hopping through the back window trying to drive off because I got a price that I shouldn't have for my TV. Come to find out, because there were no games, the lineup wasn't strong, and the performance gap was nominal. It was nominal to the naked eye. All the stuff that you were getting us, the billions and billions of Scorpio, just look them up. The billions and billions of Project Scorpio videos that y'all did routinely were just a tease. Y'all don't know enough to speak definitively on what's going to be a success or even what it's going to give us. You can talk about potentiality and you can break down the nerdism behind that. And for those that are interested in that nerdism, fine, let's listen to it. But we don't know what we're going to get until the people come out and tell us. What you can do, Digital Foundry, this is what you're good at. Take what the people said we're going to get, you analyze it, and then you bump the numbers up against what they said, and you tell us how accurate what they told us we would get is to the actual product. That's what you're good at. That's it. Predicting this stuff or letting consumers know what, what's going to be what without the official technical statements from these sources is bullpucky. And if you learned anything, if you weren't around for the Xbox One X era, then listen closely. If you were around, you can remember, and the archives are still there. Just look it up. Just type in, go to Digital Foundry's page, go to their little search bubble, and type in Project Scorpio. And look at them. I did it this morning. Look at the multitude of videos that they had hyping this damn thing up. The only thing that they predicted of any matter of factuality in advance was we weren't getting true 4K. That was an overstatement from Xbox. But you guys were so creamy knuckled and so had your nerdgasms because all the stuff they were putting in the box, you just assumed that devs would tap into it. Not understanding the game dynamic, the commercial, that's what I'm doing. You don't understand enough of the commercial dynamic to speak in those absolutes. You don't know what Rockstar is looking to do with GTA 6. You have no idea. Yes, it is true that technically, if it is extremely CPU heavy, then there are likely going to be issues with there being much more frames on the Pro than there would be the base box. But we don't know what they're doing. You don't know. I would caution people. I'm not saying that they're wrong. I'm just saying they're definitive conversations. Ignore the commercial part of these transactions. We don't know why or what entails this relationship that Jim Ryan talked about with the new GTA releases. He said it, I believe. We don't know if Rockstar came to Jim and said, or PlayStation and said, look, because we know PlayStation works closely now with developers on the development of their hardware. We know that they worked closely with Activision Blizzard when it came to developing the DualSense. So who's to say that Rockstar didn't approach PlayStation and say, look, man, I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. Everybody's whining and crying about 60 frames per second. What we're doing with GTA 6, we're not going to be able to hit it on these base consoles. But from what we understand, y'all coming out with a Pro, huh? Jim Ryan could have said, yes, we are. We're coming out with a Pro. Well, we got some ideas and some suggestions. Oh, you do? You do? All right, well, let's talk. You know what I'm saying? These mofos talk to the most hated game development company in their sphere. Like, these mugs used to hate PlayStation. You know what I'm talking about? Bethesda. They used to hate PlayStation. Pete Hines and Todd Howard, they used to drop little sneak disses on them all the time. And they went to them first. Well, they were of the first that they approached when it came to the PlayStation 4. And the rest is history. So yeah, Digital Foundry is great in letting you know the potentiality based upon certain numbers. They are great of making you aware of certain scenarios. But when they get into this definitive, don't expect it. Look, they don't know. Just like they didn't know with the Xbox One X, because they don't get the commercial part about this. They don't get the commercialism. They are just tech nerds. I don't want to say just, they are great tech nerds to a degree. There's a lot of shit that they've gotten wrong. They're not perfect, but they are tech nerds. They are great at saying, analyzing, this is the potentiality based on these numbers. They're also great at saying, okay, these are the specific numbers that they've touted as far as output. Let us judge and rate for you what this actually does do. Is this 4K 60? How often does it hit 60? That's what they're good at. Okay. All right. He said, Cold Blood says, Sean is the man. Paw Patrol is on lock for Friday. No. That can't be true. Most about to have a visit from the Diabetic Association. Juice says, that's how we got games like Redfall and Starfield locked at 30 frames per second on release. That was the nail in the coffin. Yeah. PlayStation only has 4. Where's this onslaught? Like it's kind of like because they were coming for Xbox. Yeah, you better expect this too, PlayStation. And yes, we got Dragon's Dogma that unfortunately appears to be locked at 30 frames. But where is this onslaught at? Definitely. Shout out to Geek to Sneak for the 5. Appreciate it, brother. He says, I bought Project Scorpio, bought a gaming laptop, a Nintendo Switch, and a PlayStation 4 Pro in that order. Yeah, I didn't get a Pro until, Jesus Christ, I don't think I got a Pro till 2019. But yeah, I got my Project Scorpio and 2 TVs for the Project Scorpio. Well, when Microsoft helps to build your channel, you will owe them a few favors. Yeah, right. That ain't happening. All right. So with that said, I'm going to get to the last part, and then we're going to throw Cold Blood in here. The last little bit of people that we need to worry about are the rampant hate people. These are the people that are telling you, yeah, see, Digital Foundry shit, don't expect 30 frames per second. Or they tell you this bullshit about, if they want this thing to be a success, it has to be $500. Look, you got to be very careful. Hold on one second. There are people spouting this foolishness because they're mad. Why are they mad? If you look at anybody that's sitting there saying that's spouting this foolishness, including Digital Foundry, they were overzealous on Xbox. Now, Digital Foundry are upfront with their analysis when they've calibrated everything right. They've been upfront on their analysis, but it's been their preemptive, speculative stuff that they've been overzealous on. And then when you look at the creators that mimic what I just said, look at Digital Foundry, don't expect it. No, it ain't gonna happen. Or it needs to be $500 in order for it to be a success. These are the commonality is these are people that oversold what Xbox is going to do instead of listening to the devs. I listen to the devs and I listen to the people with a proven track record. Like I'll listen to Mark Cerny, even though Mark Cerny, is not going to come out and say something bad about his company. But when Mark Cerny, I've discovered that when Mark Cerny has something to say, he comes out very seldomly when he's confident about something, and what he says is going to happen happens. So he's the only internal guy at one of these companies that I trust when it comes to, hey, this is the outcome to expect. He's not been proven wrong once. That being said, I don't trust anybody else internally. And I don't trust these creators that have been overzealous. And just because you're saying, oh, don't you go judge by the T-flops. See, I ain't never talked about T-flops. It doesn't matter. If you don't know, T-flops are just a mathematical computation of what the GPU power pretty much is. You take certain components of what the GPU power is, multiply it, divide it, multiply it again, whatever, and you come up with this benchmark number. That's what all it is a benchmark. So if you're a PC gamer and you go to, GPU benchmark or CPU benchmark, I don't know how they come up with their computation or, come up with their number, but that's basically what a T-flop is. The T-flop is supposed to be some universal standard of a benchmark number, right? That lets you know about GPU power. As I said before, you could have a game that has CPU heavy components or CPU heavy all the way through. You could have a powerful ass GPU, but if the CPU is crazy, like what the fuck is that going to do for you? And you're powerful, you know what I'm saying? So just because people didn't use the word T-flops, they were looking at these numbers, particularly of the GPU, because they did it with the Xbox One X. Some didn't. Some are doing it now with the series, and they were looking at the numbers, the T-flop numbers, or the raw numbers that made the T-flop number, and they were definitively speaking and saying, look, my multiplats are, period, are going to play better on the Xbox Series X. And that was wrong. They are splitting hairs. Splitting hairs. So these are the people that are out here telling you, yeah, just another PlayStation 5. You only expect a 10% increase because they're talking because the CPU is a 10% increase. Again, that goes on with this theory that everything is going to be a CPU hog. How do you know that? They told us that 2 years ago. They were telling us in 2022, start expecting the onslaught of CPU intensive games. And to this date, 2 years later, we only have 4 on the PlayStation 5 side. What are they talking about? 2026, 2027, 2028? By that time, there's going to be new consoles. What are you talking about? I'm not saying there won't be any more, but the onslaught that they're telling you about, I don't see the evidence of it. And how would they know? And again, this is only coming from people that were overzealous on the Xbox side. So it feels like that they're trying to, again, it's like, well, I was wrong. That's because the whole industry is messed up. You know what I'm saying? How was I supposed to know? It's not that, no, I was wrong and PlayStation is actually can do better than what I surmise. It can't be that. It's got to be, I was wrong because everything is turned upside down and you just wait and see. None of your PlayStation games are going to be 30 frames per second. You just wait and see. And don't expect anything from this PlayStation 5 Pro because we just made it seem like that the Xbox Series X is a high-end PC. It's a 6090 TR. that's what they try to make it seem like, right? I don't know what to tell y'all, but y'all need to be very careful with these haters. These are the same people that told you that there would be 40 to 50 frame deltas, or if they didn't say it explicitly themselves, they co-signed on it. They were on these shows co-signing on it. And they were sitting there telling you, oh yeah, the PlayStation 5 is still going to have, it's still going to be a great way to play games. I'm still going to play my first party games there, but my multi-plat games, they're going to just dominate on the Xbox. They were wrong. Whether they said T-flops or not, they were looking at mathematical computations of raw data over the GPU, mind you, and they made assumptions over those GPU numbers and said, oh yeah, this thing is going to kill, it's going to murder. And it didn't. It fizzled. Pew! So that's my thought process on all this. I'm going to bring in my brother Cold Blood for him to tell me that I'm right, as always, about everything. Hold on one second. Because that's what he loves to do. That's why he's here. So let's go here. Yeah, so I'm hopping in. I'm here with my brother Cold Blood. He's here. I don't know if he's muted. But yeah, okay, Cold Blood. I'm gonna shut up now. I'm gonna let you talk and tell everybody why I'm right.
About what?
About everything. Just everything. I'm right. You could say it, brother. It's okay.
Well, where do I start with you being wrong?
Cold Blood, everybody. If you missed him, Cold Blood Sensei, how you doing today, brother? How you been, man? How was work?
Hiring.
Yeah. What's good? Hey, Brigadier, man. Are you part of the Discord, brother? You keep missing us. Shout out to Brigadier. I'm glad to see you, brother. So, Cold Blood, we've and I've kind of taken a cue from you, man. Because we've avoided talking about the PlayStation 5 Pro because we're hearing numbers and shit, but we don't know what it means. What are your thoughts on the current conversation around the PlayStation 5 Pro and what it can do and what it can't do?
We can tell you one thing, it ain't doing Dragon's Dogma at 60.
Mm-hmm. Well, you think Dragon's Dogma is going to be CPU heavy?
Look on Twitter. Yeah, on Twitter. In the DMs.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Let me see something.
I'm gonna tell you, anybody expecting this console to have every game at 60, unless the devs do something, no, it ain't happening. You're still gonna see 30 FPS at launch.
With that. Okay, so this is from James Galeazzo. I don't know who that is.
Show it on stream.
Hold on.
Everybody can see it.
Oh shit.
Of course I make the chat great again. What else? Just
at the suite.
God damn it.
At the suite. Let me find at the suite. Oh shit. There it goes. J-Dub already trying to damage control it. I gotta put this up here. Oh god, that's funny. J-Dub, he ain't wasting no goddamn time. He said, this is a Capcom problem, not mine. If my i9 RTX 4090 gets 60 frames per second, I'm not buying that dog shit, period. This is James Galizio, and he says, I mentioned in the review, but it's worth iterating that Dragon's Dogma 2 is incredibly CPU intensive. My Ryzen 7700 and RTX 4090 still had dips to 50 frames per second. All CPU bottleneck. Yeah. So yeah, it's definitely what we were saying before. Like it's very possible that you are going to have games that are CPU intensive. And so, theoretically, don't expect 60 frames per second from them. But those are the games that are CPU intensive. We don't know what GTA is going to do. Maybe it will be CPU intensive. Maybe it won't be. We have no idea. But
you go by how GTA 5 released at 30. Yeah. Expect that shit to be 32 at launch.
I'm sorry, I was taking a bite, but go ahead.
Look, the PC he just mentioned is at least in the realm of $2,500 to $3,000. If that shit can run your game at 60, no fucking console can. I'm sorry. No console. No matter if the Series X Pro 2.0 RDNA 5000 comes out. It ain't running it at 860. It ain't happening. So yeah, that is something Capcom has to look at, because that is unacceptable. Fucking hell.
No. Absolutely. What J-Dub is saying to a degree is accurate. That's a Capcom thing and they got to work on it. But if you do but the games that do, or that are developed in this way, if they are CPU intensive, then yeah, you can forget about it. Because there's no way. And that's where I was saying earlier in the conversation, don't sit there and try to compare this fucking thing to high-end PCs. Like, don't do that. I actually see some people out there doing that crazy shit. That's cold. That's insanity. So,
well, you can compare the Pro for what it is right now, maybe with a $1,500 PC, maybe.
Yeah.
At best.
Yeah. That you're getting for maybe $600-700.
But even then, the $1,500 PC is gonna still dog walk the PS5 Pro.
And we don't know we got some specs and stuff like that, but again, we don't know how games are going to be developed. Nobody has that information. Until
your only hope is that this PSSR is the best fucking thing ever created.
Yeah. I don't think natively,
because even DLSS I think can help PlayStation that much if it would exist on PlayStation.
Yeah, I don't think that I don't think that natively you're going to get much. Like natively, I would expect like games that run at like 900p 60 or 1080p 60, that you're going to get a bump to 1440p 60. I was hoping like 1800p 60 natively, but it doesn't look like it can quite get that. So that, like you said, that PSSR is going to carry the load, and they're targeting 4K 60. But again, we'll see. Now, my contention is around GTA. I don't know what GTA is doing. I'm not jumping out the window and say, oh, don't expect GTA. I don't expect anything. If there's anything to learn from the Xbox One X reveal, don't expect anything. Digital Foundry don't know. They can't tell you positively or negatively. Go ahead, brother.
The only thing you can expect is 30 FPS. That you can expect.
Yeah.
Anything beyond that, for now it's a dream, I think.
Everything is speculative. Like we're hoping that, look, Kim, to be real, and I meant to close out by saying this in my comments, we don't even know if this thing is real. I mean, we can bet our money on it that it's real, but nobody from Sony's come out and said, yeah, okay, you got us.
Most they're not gonna come out and say that.
You know, the reports say that this thing exists, and that this thing is coming out in 2024. What if the thing exists? Who's to say that it's coming out this year? Who knows?
What if this thing exists and is worse than what we're being shown right now?
It could.
That is also a possibility.
All of it is. That's why we are not covering the specs. I ran through that shit. Like we're not gonna. We don't know what's happening, man. I mean, when this thing does come out, I would hope that Sony is not that dumb to where they're going to have a mid-gen up, because they didn't do it last gen. They don't have a mid-gen update that's worse than the base console. So I imagine it's going to have better output than the base console. That being said, how much better, nobody knows. And because nobody knows, I'm going to wait and see until this thing is announced, numbers or expectations are put out there, the expectations are analyzed to see how well it performs versus what people say it's going to be. That will determine how fast I get this thing. Because I can say right now with confidence, I'm going to get it just because if it exists, it's likely going to be better. But how much better will determine how fast I go get it. But we don't know anything.
What if this is the equivalent of the Series S for the PlayStation?
Oh God. Then Sony, then Geek to Sneak super chat would be true. Nintendo will be the king. Yeah, nah. If they do something crazy like that, that would be insane. That would be totally insane.
But what if they make it handheld?
You said what if they make it what?
If they make it a handheld, that is about the equivalence of Series S.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, there's nothing that you're saying that is wrong because we don't know. It could be that. Nobody knows, man. Like, and again, I know people are upset when they hear this and they're like, oh, why are you shitting on the Pro? You want to be a bot again? That fuck no. I'll leave that floundering for Crap Gamers. Shout out to Crap. You can do that shit. You can pick him up and say what platform he's going to support. I'm just trying to have. We're not just me. We're trying to have reasonable conversations here. I mean, we're going to shoot shit. We're going to talk shit or whatever. But keep y'all expectations in check. Just period. In general, we don't know if this thing is going to be the second coming. We don't know if this thing is going to be a waste. People that are telling you either way definitively, they don't know what they're talking about. We should have learned this from the Xbox One X. Like, I was cold blood. I was watching just to make sure that I wasn't misunderstanding something. There's like 6 videos from Digital Foundry back from like 6-7 years old that I rewatched this morning preparing for the show. And it was astounding how wrong they were about the Xbox One X.
Oh yeah.
It was crazy. They sound like a bunch of D-batches. Seriously. So like D-batch was reincarnated in Richard Ledbetter and all of them motherfuckers. It's like,
but I'm actually on their side.
Who? Digital Foundry side?
Yeah, that the specs we got are not as impressive as they should be.
No, yeah. I mean, as far as the potential output, that could be true. That like for like the base gameplay, yeah. I think for native gameplay, rather, the specs that we got speak to like a 1440p 60 in a game mode where we were getting a 1080p or 900p 60 in a game mode. That's not that impressive. All the juice is in this PSSR. That's where all the juice is at.
Which they also said.
Mm-hmm.
If you watch the whole video of them talking about it, they said PSSR is going to be the fucking deciding factor if this shit is a flop or not.
Exactly. That's going to be that's why I said all the juice is going to be in the PSS.
And of course, the price. I'm telling you, go over 600 and it's over.
I think they can get away with 649. I think they can get away with 649.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, I think they can get away with 649. 700? Like, it depends on the performance, bro.
I'm telling you, this $600 should not be, what do you call it? Should not be going anywhere near 650 because that would only tell us, okay, next generation you get fucking $800 console probably at launch.
No, well, No, I think for a premium product at its time, 650 may be the highest that we've seen in a long time since the Atari Jaguar, but I think it's warranted if the technology
Wait. 600 back then is not 600 today, brother.
Well, no, definitely, yeah. It's like, yeah, that further proves my point.
Way more than that.
Yeah, that further proves my point is that, like, yeah, the 650 is the most that we're going to see, you know, as a sticker price since the Atari Jaguar. But, yeah,
what if Sony says, fuck it, this is going to be only for the absolute enthusiasts anyway, and make it a $700+ console?
Well, yeah, that's why I don't think 700 plus is going to work. It's definitely not going to work in this economy. It's not going to work. It's dead in the water.
Well, some idiots are going to buy it.
But not enough. I think they know not enough.
And then after they got those idiots, they're going to adjust the price accordingly.
I think that now that's why I said I believe 650, because I think that it would be the highest, because I would think that in the if they're working closely with GTA 5, and if they're expecting the chips to go down, like if the cost of making the consoles go down, then I can see this thing becoming like $550. I can see it going down $100 next holiday season for the release of GTA 5 or GTA 6. I mean,
if they bundle that shit with GTA 6, you're definitely paying over 600.
Yeah, they bundle with if they bundle it with GTA 6, I can see them taking. Well, if it goes down 100, then yeah, it might be like 600. If they make the base price like $550, and then by 2025 holiday season they make it $550, then I can see it like, you know, the bundle being like 620, 640, something, whatever. But I see a scenario where they can drop everything 100. What'd you say?
No, we already heard that GTA 6 probably gonna cost more than the normal next gen price anyway.
Yeah, it's big. Yo, what's up, Casey? Yeah, I mean, people are speculating about that. I'm not buying that either.
You think not?
No, I think what they may do is, now they may do some slick shit like break up the multiplayer. You know what I'm saying? They might do something like make the multiplayer 50 and make the what's it called, 50. You know, break up the multiplayer in the single player. You know what I'm saying? I could see them doing some shit like that, which, you know, if you want the complete game, yeah, it will be 100 if they do that. But to just sit there and say, you know, have a SKU that's $100 and no, that would be a very difficult sell, because that would completely disrupt the market. I know that we like GTA that much, but there's like standard MSRPs that are set for games. And even if you do like it that much, the best thing that you could do is break it up and have it as smaller MSRPs where you just get more money for it.
No. You're paying $80 for the story, trust me. Or $70 for you, which for me 80.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see them, you know, breaking it up, maybe 50-50. I mean, they could even get away with 70. They could get away with 70-70. They could get away with 70-50, but yeah, to have them say, okay, you're gonna get the game and it's gonna be 100. No, that would be too market disruptive. That would cause so many problems that they would have to do it a different way. And I think that's why Sony, when it was like when they were talking about Spider-Man 3, that's why they were going to do 50 and 50. They were going to break it up into two parts. and do 50 and 50. But they're going to make so much money off the frickin', you know, they might do something like where it's $100 because the base game is 70 and they charge 30 for the multiplayer. They could do something like that. I think that'll be cool. I mean, well, that wouldn't be cool. No, I'm sorry. that would be something that I can see them doing. No, that's not cool at all. We would want the whole fucking package to be $70 because I'm not sure if I grab a mid-gen refresh this time. It depends. It depends. If that PSSR is the shit, like I'm waiting to see what Mark Cerny has to say, because Mark Cerny only comes out when he has something definitive to say and he has actual expectations to set. And he has yet to set an expectation that doesn't land, that I'm aware of. You guys might be aware of something. I'm not aware of it.
You know, the architect of the PlayStation 5 Pro is Jason Ronald.
Does Jason Ronald even still have a job and shit?
No, he was fired from Xbox. That's why I say it.
Yeah. KC says, Dead Island 2 is a great game, man. I had fun. Yeah, I got to get back into that game. I do. And I'm thinking about getting Dying Light 2 as well with this new gun pack. I definitely want to try that out. I don't believe a damn thing they're saying. Well, here's the problem, Geek. When you say there, it's not PlayStation. Like we ran into this problem last gen with and I know personally because Cold Blood says I was complicit. I was in the studio with them writing these fake raps. he said I was in the studio booth with them writing these fake raps, but digital like go do yourselves a favor. If y'all think I'm bullshitting or I'm picking on Richard Ledbetter, like get him off that pick, ML. No, it's foul. No, do me a favor. Go to digital. Fuck it. I'm going to do it. Fuck it. We're doing it live. Fuck it. I'll do it right now. I motherfuckers think I'm be capping, man. I'm not making this shit up. Let's look this up right now. Digital Foundry. Fuck it. We're doing it live. All right. So let's go to Digital Foundry's page. Okay. Let me take you over here. Okay, this is Digital Foundry's page. Let's put up Project Scorpio.
He's gonna justify his cap.
Here you go. Here's all the Project Scorpio Xbox One X videos. Xbox One X Project Scorpio exclusive final specs reveal. Why Project Scorpio Xbox One X is good news for the PlayStation 4 Pro. Project Scorpio reveal trailer. Project Scorpio complete spec analysis. Project Scorpio supports FreeSync and HDMI 2.1 variable refresh rate. New Scorpio spec leak. SRAM gone. GPU features revealed. Project Xbox One X Project Scorpio Turn 10 report and analysis. 5 ways Xbox One X Scorpio improves your Xbox One and 360 games. Project Scorpio, PlayStation Neo, Nintendo NX. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. It's like every 5 minutes. Look at all this shit. Look. All this Project Scorpio, like they were running high. They had the whole community running high on the Project Scorpio craze, and come to find out it was only a nominal upgrade. And like I said, the biggest takeaways that I took just from the shit that I remembered and I refreshed my memory with is that they were ones that were getting you hyped like D-Bats, talking about that Vega chip shit. They assumed that devs would actually take the effort to push 4K, now an upscale 4K, but no, not just 4K, 4K 60. They also overhyped FreeSync HDMI 2.1 VRRR on the effect that it would have on that box. They were like, yeah, I mean, initially it is not going to mean anything, but they're gonna push it forward. No, they didn't. Nobody gave a fuck because it didn't do anything. It became standard when the capabilities of the boxes all the way around became standard. Xbox doing it first didn't mean shit. They thought hardcore gamers would.
What your mother's comment?
They said Xbox One X will wait for Xbox One X because of the extra T-flops. Like, fuck out of here. Not your mother. Hold on, let me scroll all the way down. Says, I will buy this console. I'm not listening to these so-called experts who base their opinions on specs alone. Look at the 10 teraflop console, which wasn't supposed to surpass. Exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's where I'm at, not your mother. I'm going to buy it. How fast I'm going to buy it, I don't know. All I'm saying is, either way, positively or negatively, anybody that's speaking definitively on it will do this and it won't do that, they don't know what they're talking about. The only thing that you can say is, look, based upon these numbers that were part of a leak or rumor, yeah, if it's CPU intensive, you're not going to get a much of a boost, if a boost at all. Based upon what they say that they're going to do with the PSSR, oh man, that shit's going to be crazy. But we don't know. No, but nobody said anything. We don't know. Nobody said anything. But I'm with you. Like, yeah, that's where I'm at. Personally, I'm like, yeah, I'm getting it. Just when. I want to see the price and I want to see when. He said, what happened to Old Bill? Who's Old Bill? Bill O'Reilly. You know, they kicked his ass off of Fox News when they said he had his hands in places he shouldn't have. Yeah. They kicked his ass off. I don't know what he's doing now. Fuck it, we're doing it live. But yeah, just be careful, y'all. I'm just not a fan of these people that are talking definitively. Even Digital Foundry. Digital Foundry is not good at you know what I mean? They're not good at giving you that type of analysis that has foresight to it. Shout out to Rock over on Kick saying, I joined at Helldivers again. Laugh out loud. Shout out to you, Rock. Sorry I missed your comment earlier. I got to get that pane back up where I can see the Kick comments. But yeah, man, just be careful. These guys don't know what they're talking about. I know from personal experience, I got bamboozled. They had me, I threw that fucking TV in my trunk, man, jumped through the back of the window. Drive. Because you had to have HDR10, the Xbox One X was going to make your face melt and all that shit. And we even had post up with the close up. He was sitting there, man, they got to make that box sing. Remember when he was saying that shit? They got to make it sing. And canceled that mofo before it could sing. And went and did the exact same thing.
Didn't it sing with Phantom Dust with the original assets?
Oh my God. Super Lucky's Tale, bro. That's like PlayStation launching this PlayStation 5 Pro with Octodad. They launched it with Super Lucky's Tale. Need I say more? All I'm seeing is people that were overzealous of the gap in performance that people were saying Xbox would give you. All I'm seeing is those people are the ones that are out here saying, oh yeah, this thing has to be $500. Or those people saying, yeah, the T-flops, the T-flop conversation is stupid. Meanwhile, you were basing your crap off the same conversation. You just weren't basing it off of the actual. It's like saying, using that argument, oh, the people talking about T-flops is stupid. Meanwhile, you were hyping up numbers written down on a piece of paper. That would be like me telling Cold Blood, you know what? I think the number, I think having 4 of something is stupid. And just having 4 of something is stupid. I'll be right back, Cold Blood. I'm going to buy 2 plus 2 of this thing here. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's the same thing. Whether you're talking about T-flops, you're getting all creamy knuckled over T-flops, or you're getting all excited over the numbers that make up the T-flop, it's all the same thing. You're not falling for a catchphrase, but you're falling for the thing that the catchphrase is about. It's the same thing. You don't get a pass. It's crazy to me. Casey says, are you talking about specs on console? Doesn't mean ish to me unless you're on PC. Yeah. I don't care about specs. I care about performance. I just want to know what the fuck you provide. I think you're right, Casey. Specs can give you an idea of something. Like I said, like speculatively on console, but they truly matter on PC because the specs help you decide the combination of components you're going to put together, if that makes sense. I don't care about specs on a console either. I just care about, okay, well, this is what you're going to be able to do, because the specs don't mean anything if the developers don't tap into it. So